Kia ora everyone, and welcome to our final council meeting of the year. Just before we start, I just want to remind everyone that this meeting will be live streamed and recorded. I wanted to give a special welcome to members of the public who are joining today, and in particular to welcome Nicola Phillips, the Chair of the Dannyvirk Community Board, and Terry Hines, the Deputy Chair of the Dannyvirk Community Board. Thank you very much for attending. I'd like to now hand over to Councillor Tuaka to give a karakia.
Tēnā tātou, just before I do a karakia, e tika ana kia mihi ki te hunga kua whitirangitia ki te pui te wiki nei. So over this past week, our community has seen a lot of whānau who have passed on, and I just wanted to acknowledge them before I do karakia. E rangi e papa, whakatongia tō manaakitanga ki a mātou kia tutuki pai ai ngā mahi, haumi e hui e, tā e ki e.
Thank you very much, Councillor Tuaka, and thanks for that wider acknowledgement as well. Do we have any apologies? Appears to be none. Do we have anyone here for public forum? Appears to be none. Just to let councillors know, item 8 on our agenda, we may move to the appropriate time, so I just want to give councillors notice of that. Do any councillors have any notifications of items not on the agenda? I have one to add on to the agenda, and the subject will be the recruitment of the Chief Executive, which will be in public excluded if it is approved. The reason this item was not listed on the agenda was due to the interviews for shortlisted candidates being held after the agenda was published. Consideration of this item cannot be delayed into a subsequent meeting due to the need to progress the making of an offer to the preferred candidate and delegation of authority for negotiating the terms and conditions, noting the impact of the legislative designation of the period the 20th of December to the 10th of January as non-working days on the timeline for the process. So I would like to move that the following item be accepted as a late item for consideration with the public excluded, the Chief Executive recruitment. I've moved that. I'd like a seconder, please. Deputy Mayor Sharon, is there any discussion? All those in favour, please say aye. Against? Motion is carried. Thank you, team. We now move to declarations of conflicts of interest for this meeting. Are there any declarations to be made? Appears to be none. We now move to confirmation of minutes. Let me just find the page. And we will first of all confirm the council minutes on page 5 of the 26th of November. Everyone's had an opportunity to review these minutes. Are there any corrections? Cool. Appears to be none. Those minutes have been moved by Councillor Wallace. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Corlett. Any further discussion? I'll put the vote. All those in favour, please say aye. Against? Motion is carried. Thank you, councillors. We now move to the minutes of our community boards and community committees, starting with, on page 16, the Positively Woodville minutes. Are there any questions of clarification on those minutes? No? Great. I'm going to take these as a block, if that's okay, councillors. Page 20, the Ekatahuna Community Board. Are there any questions for clarification on those minutes? There appears to be none. No, only minutes that we've got. So those are from when the meeting's full. Those are the only minutes that we have. Could I have a Someone to move that we receive those minutes. Councillor Johns, seconded by Councillor Petty-Weber. Any discussion? All those in favour, please say aye. Against? Motion is carried. We now move to an exciting part of the agenda for me, which is page 25, and this is our decision action items from our minutes. First off, I want to give thanks to Ali for producing these and to the Chief Executive. These are a good way for us to stay on top of the decisions that we've made within meetings and making sure that things are progressing. Are there any comments on the action items? Councillor Johns.
The last item regarding plan change, etc., there's no due date or who it's assigned to or progress notes attached to it. Can we have an update on whether that's happened?
I'll just pass to the Chief Executive, thank you.
No, thank you, Councillor. Good point. I should have reviewed these in more detail before I put them out. Obviously, the action is to execute the decision of Council to submit the application for exemption in the manner that Council endorsed at the last meeting, so that's the action. The due date is as soon as possible. It's been assigned to Amy as planning. The status is my understanding it either is about to or has been submitted, but I'd have to just clarify from perhaps Jim. Have you got a? Do you know? Amy's not here, I noticed.
I'm unable to do
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, but I'll check with her team, Councillor, but it's fair to say that the team understands the expeditious nature of the application.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Malcolm, and thanks for raising that, Councillor Johns. Deputy Mayor Wards.
Thank you, Your Worship. This is great. Love having this to be able to close the loop. Just a query, perhaps through you, Your Worship, through to our Chief Executive. The topic related to the disposal plans for rationalisation of land, I noted that that was back in June of this year with a due date of February, yet the notes reflect that consultation won't begin to occur until February, which will obviously extend the timeline for us to make any decisions. The reason I'm concerned about the length of time is that potentially with some decisions around that rationalisation, we would have been able to have made some decisions, A, for our annual plan, but B, for our LTP with those implications. So I guess through to you, Malcolm, I'm querying, is this length of time usual, or has there been some barriers to us being able to move this through? Thank you.
I can't comment as whether or not it's usual vis-a-vis Tararua, to be frank, Deputy Mayor. It will be out of time if the due date is February 26, and probably, depending on the nature of your workshop discussions on the annual plan, may not be able to be incorporated in that, but ought to be able to be well incorporated within the LTP deliberations. So, but look, one of the reasons for why I support the Mayor's approach to having an action plan is so you can pose these very questions.
Thank you very much, Malcolm and Deputy Mayor Wards. Councillor Naylor.
Should we move the completion date for that action item out then?
Through your issue. Can I, my recommendation to you is you leave it as it is for the moment, and to the extent we need to alter it, we could do so at the February thing, but I'd like to keep the heat on. My own personal view, Councillor, is if we keep moving deadlines, it sends the wrong incentives about delivery.
I'd just like to pass to the Manager of Democracy Services for a comment.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. If we could just, for clarification, The due date is for the next action, which is a report coming to council about the consultation. So that's not the completion date of the whole project. That's just the date that a report is coming to council.
Thanks, Sally. In which case, the due date needs to be the due date for the project, not milestones on the way, would be my personal view, and the comment should reflect that. Yeah.
Noted in the progress note.
And thank you for that. And I think this is the great thing about having the action the first time that we've had that, and great that we've had some comments about it. This is something that we can work through to make sure that it is meaningful, but great to see that there's already some questions. The next one being from Councillor Amboy.
Thank you, Ms Scott. So Councillor Ward's kind of touched on my question, but I just want to clarify how long will consultation go for the rationalisation of the assets. If we are only opening consultation for less than 2 months, it should be well advertised to the public when this consultation will open, and the emphasis of the importance of this writing a submission and how important this decision is and how it will impact individuals. Thanks.
Thanks, Councillor Amboy. I might just have the first attempt to answer that, because I absolutely share your views about the importance of consultation. That will be decided when we have the report coming back. We'll have options presented to us. This is more our ability to make sure that that the requests that we've had or the decisions that we've taken are being worked through, but all of these will require reports and further decision making by council. And I'll just pass to the Chief Executive.
Absolutely endorse His Worship's comments. Also make the point that consultation must be sufficiently meaningful to inform elected members of what the views of the community are on the decision. Otherwise, it's a meaningless exercise, and it should be a meaningful exercise.
Thank you, Malcolm. Is there any other questions on the action register? I think we've just proved how worthwhile having this is, so thank you again to Ali and Malcolm for making that happen. So for this item, could I please have someone move that the report providing an update on decision action items be noted? That is moved by Deputy Mayor Wards and seconded by Councillor Naylor. Any further discussion? All those in favour say aye. Aye. Against? Motion is carried. Thank you, councillors. We have already covered the minutes, so we now move to reports, which is on page 31 of your agenda, and that is the reserve land classification. So I welcome up Fontaine to the table.
Morena koutou. Through you, Your Mayor, I take the report as being read for the land classification. This is a final report as part of a really large piece of work that the team has undertaken. It is to finalise 6 parcels of land that the previous council approved for us to seek consultation and feedback on, which we received none for. So the recommendation is for no changes to be made from what we went and consulted on. So we're seeking approval from council to declare and classify according to their primary purposes 3 parcels of land, and to reclassify additional 3 parcels of land to better cater for their primary purpose.
Thank you very much for that, Fontaine. So I'll now open up to questions. Councillor Johns. No question? Then I'll move to Councillor Naylor.
This is more just gaining information from me. So how does the reclassification of the land actually, because I'm not on the previous council, so I won't have heard the thing. So How does the reclassification of the land change the way we treat the land, and are there any extra costs or different outputs for that?
Through you, Your Worship. The reclassification, there is a process through the Reserves Act that we have to follow, which is what we've taken here. So we formally need to seek approval through council for us to go to consultation and seek feedback from the community and whether they agree that we reclassify that parcel of land. So all we've done in that process, or our proposal, was just to apply the right fit for how it currently is being used. So across the Tararua, our reserves are mainly fall into three categories under the Reserves Act. A scenic reserve, which will be Pongaroa, the many parcels at Pongaroa. A recreation reserve, which will be the Woodville Recreation Grounds, something like that, and our upper domain. And then a local purpose reserve, which you'll see in this report, will be places like the Norsewood parcel of land where the Norsewood War Memorial sits. Yeah. So we're reclassifying that parcel of land to fit its primary purpose, which is for a local purpose, and it's been that way for a long time because that War Memorial Hall has been there for, a lot longer than me, but it's just making sure that it has the right classification on it. In order for it to be part of the reserve management plan, each parcel of land needs to have a classification.
Great, thank you, Fontaine. Thanks for the question, Councillor Naylor. Any further questions? Yes, Councillor Tawaka.
So, kia ora, thank you, Mayor Scott. So consultation will happen after this hui, is that correct? Or no, it's already happened? And what does that look like with iwi and hapu and all those sorts of things?
Through you, Your Worship. This entire process for building the Tararua Omnibus Reserve Management Plan, which is mandated through central government, that we have one of these. Throughout that entire process, we have worked alongside both Rangitane and Kahununu and building the draft Reserve Management Plan. This land classification, the reserve land classification, is a separate part, but forms part of the overall reserve management plan. And within that, there will be a map book that has all the parcels and a map location and their IDs in there as well. It is quite a big piece of work. So throughout that entire process, we have worked with them to identify whether there are any cultural significance, so that they're being recorded correctly, and that's no different to how we've consulted with the rest of the community as well, where they've been able to provide some feedbacks and a submission as well. So this went out for consultation just for this parcel, these 6 parcels, during the periods of, I think, August to September, I think it was, yeah. And then this is the last final bit, and then it goes to be signed off through delegations to our CE, and then we get to publish it. Yeah.
Any other questions? Any comments? Councillor Johns, you were happy to move?
Very happy to move the recommendation, Your Worship.
Thank you very much, Councillor Johns. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Wallace. No further discussion? I'll put the vote. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Against? Motion carried. Thank you very much, Fontaine. We now move to item 11.2, our regulatory services report. So I welcome up James Single, our regulatory services manager, to the table. Just to note before James starts, some of this reporting will flow into our committees once we have our regular schedule start, but it was important to make sure that the reporting stayed consistent, hence it's coming to full council. So I'll hand over to James.
Testing. Thank you, Your Worship. This is our regulatory services report, just giving an update to councillors on regulatory activities in the district. It only goes up to, well, when I prepared it, it was around about the time of the 31st of October, but it's taken a little while to get here, so things have moved on a bit since then. But basically, for the new councillors, is a rundown of what we do in the regulatory field, covering everything from building activities to planning, liquor licensing, health, dog control, bylaw enforcement, you name it. So I'm happy to answer any questions. The report can be taken as read.
Thanks very much, Jim. What I propose we do, councillors, with this is we will run through page by page because there's quite a lot of information, and we'll jump through each section, and we'll do questions first, then comments, and then move on to the next section. So if we start here on page 37 with the executive summary, were there any questions? Great. Great to see, just as a quick comment from me, that the teams are at full strength. So thanks for letting us know that, Jim. Page 38. Any questions? I'll start with Deputy Mayor Wards.
Your Worship, very pleasing to see the huge increase in the applications at Woodville. Jim, given the delay or the time you indicated that the stats it's taken me a while to get them here, do you think that trend's going to continue? Is Councillor John's going to get his wish that Woodville will be the centre of the universe?
Will be, it is.
Through Your Worship, I think that's undoubtedly going to occur. No, I think as with the economic recovery, we're seeing more building growth. So at the bottom there, you can see 19 applications for dwellings. You know, this is just the first trimester, sort of. So, I mean, you compare that to the entire tally for last year. So things are on their way up, I hope.
Thanks very much, Jim. I had a similar question. You didn't have a question, did you? Cool. Councillor Peter Weber.
Thank you, Mayor Scott. Just wondering, do we still use the outside services for building consents?
Through Your Worship, yes we do, and we use them for processing because we don't have a processing officer, and we also use them as overflow for inspections because we only have one building inspector. So when that person has to take leave, get sick or whatever, we have to rely on them. If we continue to see a trend in the upturn of building activity, then we probably need to look at hiring a new building inspector, an additional one.
Thanks very much, Jim. Any further questions on page 38? Page 39. Councillor Amboy.
Thank you, Mayor Scott. Great report, Jim. It was very easy to read and understand, so thank you for this. Just a question and I guess a comment on the earthquake-prone buildings. Once legislation is complete, is there a possibility of council to organise a drop-in session / meeting for building owners to understand the complexities of the reform? And just supplementary, so...
Through Your Worship, yep, that sounds like a great idea.
Great, thank you. And I just want to make a comment on that. I just know a lot of people who I've spoken.
Councillor Amboy, we'll come to comments in a moment. Thank you. So, any further questions on page 39 or page 40? Appears to be none. I'll pass over to you for your comment.
Thank you, Ms. Scott. Just a comment on going back to that earthquake-prone buildings. Just a lot of people I've spoken to have found information online harder to digest. So I think it's important that council can assist with this and making it easy to understand. I also want to note that some building owners are from overseas, so it's harder to understand or comprehend the regulatory framework of New Zealand. So thank you. So really like the answer.
I'll just pass to the Chief Executive first.
I endorse your approach, Councillor, and Jim's response. However, I think it's also important to know that we shouldn't be doing this until we have a full and clear understanding of what the rules are so that we properly inform the community, and we're not in that, as far as I'm aware, we're not in that position at the moment, won't be till the government's worked it through. And essentially, there may be two stages, what the government is proposing to do and what actually comes out at the end of the process. Those things can often differ.
Thank you very much for those comments, and I do want to just add a wider comment around that. We do have a tsunami of reform coming, with proposals seemingly coming out every week or so that are quite significant. The final shape of those may potentially look slightly different to what they are now, so we do run into some danger of getting ahead of the process and potentially misleading people. To give you some confidence, hopefully, Councillor Amboy, and this was before my time on council, but I am aware that when the last set of changes came out with earthquake-prone buildings and the requirements for council to notify people, there was a very robust process set up around that with drop-in sessions, letters, and communicating in every way possible to make sure that people understood their requirements and obligations. So I would expect a similar approach to come from this. So hopefully that gives some comfort of what the team's done in the past. Page 41, any questions? I just have one question, Jim, on the annual dog registration, which 95.78% of known dogs to be registered, which sounds a very impressive stat. How does that compare to other years? Are we where we would usually be?
Through your worship, yeah, we are. We're actually at 99% at the moment. We've gone up since then. We've gone through the process. How it works is, people get a penalty if they haven't paid on time. After that, if they still haven't paid, a month later, they'll get an infringement. We've gone through that process. The next step is then to start impounding dogs from people that just refuse to pay. So we're actually just beginning that process.
Thanks very much. Jim, any other questions on that? Just a comment from me. Well done. That's an incredibly high statistic and a testament to the work that the team are doing. So thank you to you, and please pass on our thanks to the team. Page 42, any questions? Councillor Corlett.
Thank you, Mayor Scott. Just one question around the hairdressing licensing. I know that was something that was removed in July, I think, this year. Is it still something that we need to keep a handle on, or are we just waiting till their existing licenses end?
So through your worship, the exemption began on the 31st of July. So we will no longer be doing inspections for hairdressers. It's just a government exemption that's come through. I don't necessarily agree with it, but...
Thank you. Any further questions or comments on page 42? And often we have to do things we don't agree with that are legally required, so that goes for elected members too. Page 43, any questions on page 43? Councillor Johns.
Thanks, Mayor Scott. Illicit dumping and infringements, Jim. You've issued 2 $400 litter infringements and 5 at $300. Can you tell me whether they've been paid?
Well, through your worship, off the top of my head, I can't. What I can tell you is they will pay. The process is, if a person doesn't pay and we don't receive an application for a hearing, then it's forwarded to the court, to the bailiff. A court fee is applied, and then the bailiff becomes a bailiff's problem. And they have the power to put a charge on the person's salary and have it paid. So that's the process.
Good to hear. Thanks, Jim.
Thanks very much. And look, illicit dumping is something that often comes up, so it's pleasing to me to hear a very hard line being taken with that. Councillor Amboy.
Thank you, Ms. Scott. Just wondering, I've got two questions here. Why is it so high for the illicit dumping in the rural southern ward? Is this due to the rest stop before Woodville? And has anyone actually been fined or caught from the surveillance footage at this location? Thanks.
Through your worship, the trouble, most of the dumping occurs in the rural areas. So, and we've got a few hot spots. And in those hot spots, there are cameras, hidden cameras. So if we do catch somebody doing that, they can expect a visit and an infringement. So we did have one of the cameras stolen, which is unfortunate because they're expensive. But other than, CRMs coming in and us being notified that there's dumping and we have to go through all the rubbish, it's not a nice job. There's often needles and things like that in it. But if we can get an address, if we can get any identifying factor, we follow it up.
Second question, Councillor Amboy, you said you had two.
That was two parts of the question that have been answered. Thank you for that.
Perfect. And just a quick question, I'll come to Deputy Mayor Wards in a moment. Just for clarification for elected members, the rest areas off state highways are not council's responsibility, so won't be included in these stats. Am I correct in saying that, Jim?
Through your worship, no, not really. We still look at the rubbish dumping. It's not our responsibility to clear rubbish bins at rest areas, but when there's willful dumping, it actually, the Act covers public places and private spaces. So if someone dumps something on your farm, we can still infringe for that as well. So we try to keep, try to do something about it, because the one north of Woodville seems to occur a lot. People use it as a dumping place for their household rubbish all the time.
Helpful to know for me, thanks, Jim, because we do have some real issues across different rest stops in the district, which I know you're acutely aware of. Deputy Mayor Wards.
Thanks, Your Worship. I have a question regarding the 8.2 other complaints, Jim. Under noise, I regularly look at the CRMs on a weekly basis, and they split the noise out. So the total that you've got here, does that include the complaints regarding the chipping plant, for instance, on Miller Street? Is that a noise category, or is that somewhere else?
Through your worship, firstly, can you see the figures there? No,
but we got it sent.
Oh, great, yeah. I'm just checking. There's a slight glitch on the old admin.
No, it did get sent to us, but I'm just curious to understand what's been categorised under noise.
So the wood chipping plant is not counted now as for KPI reasons, because it would completely blow them out. We do receive from certain individuals continuous complaints. We have told those individuals that we cannot do anything further about the complaints that are coming in. The fact of the matter is that wood chipping plant is in an industrial area, and a council before this one approved that area as becoming industrial as designated. Therefore, people have got every right to set up a business there, and so long as they're not breaching the sound limits under our district plan, they are free to do their business activities. They are complying with the consent conditions. And we have, as part of their condition, they had to get an acoustic report from a noise expert. We then got our own one at quite a lot of money it cost to verify those recordings, and they both came back similar results. And intermittently, we also go out with our calibrated noise device, and we take readings at complainants' properties, and we have never received a reading that's over the district plan result. So that really ties our hands, and we can't do anything about it, unfortunately.
Thank you for allowing that explanation, Your Worship.
I'll just pass to the Chief Executive.
Just for the record, given it's live stream, so the excuse me, that particular site is compliant according to the rules of the district plan and any consent conditions. So just to be crystal clear on that.
Thanks very much for that. Was there any further questions? I just have one on the same point on 8.2, but it's looking at the, or actually for both noise and abandoned vehicles, particularly though the abandoned vehicles side, the totals for 24 to 25 and from 1st of July 2025 are empty. Does that mean that we've had 0 abandoned vehicles? Oh, okay. I missed the email. Apologies. I'm going off a printed version. Are there any further comments?
Move on, Your Worship.
They look good. I've seen those now. Thank you for the clarification. Let's jump to page 44. Any questions on page 44? I'd be surprised if there's not one from Councillor Johns. Councillor Johns.
Thank you, Mayor Scott. I think it's been answered earlier on, was regarding the planned stop, but that has been answered. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments on page 44? Page 45, any questions or comments? I just want to make just one overall comment for 44 and 45. Appreciate the team keeping us up to date on the thinking behind what might be required with the reforms, but also some of the proactive work. And although we talked before about things could change, with the experience in the team, the direction is quite clear, and it is very pleasing to see the team taking steps to get us ready for the reform. So thank you very much. Page 46, any questions or comments? 47, questions or comments? Any overall comments for the report or any closing statements, Jim, that you might want to make?
Yes, Your Worship. I'd just like to say that the compliance team has worked incredibly hard over the last year, really, and under trying conditions. We've had some very difficult customers over various matters. Some are ongoing. We've had 3 successful prosecutions for serious dog attacks. We don't prosecute people lightly. We reserve that for the most serious cases, and some have been particularly nasty, including, serious injury and penalties, which under the Act, $20,000 and 3 years in prison. So they're quite significant. We're shining the beacon as far as enforcement goes for that, and we're often used as an example by our solicitors who work for other councils as well and show them how to do the role correctly. So just a hats off to the team. They've done a fantastic job, and I'm very honoured to lead them.
Thanks very much, Jim. I'll just pass to the Chief Executive.
Yeah, no, thanks for that, Jim. But just for the elected members in my time here as Interim Chief Executive, I think you are very well served indeed by Jim and his team. Jim leads, in my view, one of the best regulatory teams I have ever seen in the local government sector. So I'd just like to endorse and to thank Jim, Amy and the rest of the team for the great work that they do under, and I can attest to that too, at times trying circumstances.
And just before Councillor Wallace moves, I would also like to add my thanks, Jim, to yourself and to your team. I thought that I had a fairly good understanding of some of the requirements of the team from a regulatory perspective as a councillor. My sight into some of the challenges that you face as mayor, even in a very, very short time, has only grown my respect for the team, what they have to deal with. And also, it's important to say the constraints that the team have to deal with to stay legally compliant. I am very, very grateful to you and your team for all the work you do in this very, very important space to keep people safe, but to keep people compliant and protected, and importantly, to keep council and the ratepayer protected. So thank you very much. Appreciate it. This is great. I'm always happy with a bit of. We often don't get applause from the gallery for regulatory, so well done. So take that as from the public. We'll move the recommendation by Councillor Wallace. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Corlett. Any further discussion? All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Against? Motion is carried. Thank you very much, Jim.
Have a nice Christmas.
Yes. Is Peter going to come on this?
Thank you very much, councillors. We are now going to just shuffle the agenda ever so slightly and move to item 8. And item 8 is the awarding of a district merit award, which is a special thing that our council can do and has voted on unanimously to do, to award service to our district. I understand that for the recipient of this award, this may be a surprise, so the surprise is about to be broken. I have a little statement to read out first, then we will ask the recipient to come forward for their award, and then I will be inviting up a couple of people to say a few words, and then we will break for a morning tea. So, Vanessa Doreen is an exceptional community volunteer whose dedication, leadership and generosity of spirit have made a lasting contribution to Dannevirke, Norsewood and the wider district. Over many years, she has given countless hours to education, sport, arts and community well-being, consistently stepping forward whenever support is needed. Vanessa has been highly active within local schools, serving on both the Norsewood and Ruahine school committees and supporting a wide range of activities, including event organisation, fundraising, coaching, gardening and school trips. She has also been a long-standing parent organiser for the Norsewood Playgroup and a strong supporter of local theatre and arts initiatives. Widely known for her positive and encouraging presence, Vanessa is a familiar and an enthusiastic supporter at school and sporting events, including the Dannevirke Ross Shield. She has built strong, lasting relationships with young people and continues to support and celebrate them well into adulthood. Her commitment to community well-being extends to her involvement with Norsewood Civil Defence and her role in helping secure a defibrillator, it's a word, for the village. For the past 8 years, Vanessa has been deeply involved with the Dannevirke Netball Centre, contributing extensively to junior development programs such as Fun Ferns and Future Ferns. She has coached and coordinated school teams, mentored umpires, supported representative teams, and carried out numerous operational roles, including canteen, office uniforms, game timings, and prize givings. She also established a summer business house competition. Her dedication was recognised when she was named a Cadbury Volunteer of the Month for Netball Manawatu and Dannevirke Netball Centre Volunteer of the Year 2023. Vanessa has also served the Norsewood Small Bore Rifle Club for 6 years, stepping into the scorer role when needed and continuing in this position with professionalism. Her behind-the-scenes contribution was recognised this year with Life membership. For 9 years, Vanessa has been a key contributor to junior hockey at the Dannevirke Sports Club, taking on roles including health and safety representative, treasurer, tuck shop and referee coordinator, as well as coaching and refereeing. Always reliable, she ensured each hockey day ran smoothly. In addition, Vanessa has been a valued committee member of the Dannevirke Athletic Club, where she improved club systems, introduced new technology, supported athletes in schools, and volunteered at major events such as the Colgate Games. Her service was recognised when she was named Volunteer of the Year at the club's 2024 prize giving. Through her selfless service and unwavering commitment, Vanessa has had a significant and lasting impact on her community and is a truly deserving recipient of the District Merit Award. So please give Vanessa a round of applause and I'll ask her to come forward. I would like to now invite up Kelly Gillard and Michelle Mitchell to say a few words, please, up to the front.
That's loud. Your Worship, the Mayor, councillors and members of the public who have come, friends and family of Vanessa, what an honour to be here today to celebrate this with Vanessa. If you don't know me, Michelle, I've known Vanessa for many a year. Vanessa, or not that I really call her that, it's Mrs. DJ. Mrs. DJ. I've known Vanessa since starting. She was a parent coming into the Norsewood District's playgroup at Norsewood School, where I was a teacher. Then it went on. I had the privilege and pleasure of teaching both Sean and Pippa, her children, and as a teacher you couldn't want for a better parent to be by your side. If anything needed done, it was Vanessa you asked. And then following that, I've worked closely for those many years on the Dannevirke Junior Netball Committee through highs and lows. But yeah, Vanessa was always there for us. There's never been such a deserving person to receive this award, and it is amazing to see that Vanessa's selfless, giving nature is recognised by our Mayor and community. What she has done for so many people and organisations in the community is truly remarkable, and although she's very humble and just thinks it's just another day, we want you to know how truly appreciated your kind heart and hours of volunteer work are, Vanessa. You've touched the lives of so many people, old and young. When my girls knew where I was coming this morning, straight away it was, Mum, can we come? Can we come for Mrs. DJ? I was like, no, go to work. She's made Mrs. DJ a Dannevirke icon. There wouldn't be many children around the place who don't know who Mrs. DJ is or haven't heard Mrs. DJ at a sporting ground. We often heard her before we saw her. Not sure how she still had a voice after many events. Vanessa is a huge hard worker and would put many to shame. There's just one quick occasion I want to mention. Many of, obviously, friends and family are aware. but one that springs to mind is picking up wood chips for fundraising. Many years ago, Vanessa offered that our Norsewood School Jump Jam teams could pick up and bag wood chips and kindling and sell them for a fundraiser to help us get to North Island champs. Well, I'm sure Vanessa picked up as much, if not more, wood than the people in the team. She didn't only pick up the wood, she was actively selling it, conned the local diner into selling it, and did anything she could to get our little team from our small school to nationals. The biggest thing there is her children were not even involved. Okay, it was just for others. She's so supportive, and you'll always be remembered for it. When heading to the competition, don't know if you know, Vanessa lives on the main road, and we were heading to Tauranga. As we approached her house, here's Vanessa and Pippa, her daughter, standing out with placards on the side of the road, wishing us well. But it didn't stop there. She couldn't stand the thought of not being there for us. So as we took the stage in Tauranga, here we hear Mrs. DJ in the crowd. And she had travelled all the way to support us. Vanessa, you're a truly exceptional individual, and don't you ever forget it.
Oh, yeah. No, I got 4 square tissues. I'm good. Okay.
Thanks very much, Michelle. Kelly, did you want to say a few words as well?
I won't. I'm sorry. I'll be 2 seconds. This is what you'll hear all the time. I'm just going to go to it. Hold on. Okay, here we go. This is going to start my speech. You might not have heard that. Don't need to replay it. That voice will always be with me. I don't know how many times I've heard it for so many different sports. But it doesn't matter where you are, you will always shout for people. But I better get back because I'll lose. Okay. Do I have to push that button? What we do? Here we go. I'm all over this. Your fellas' meetings are real formal. Anyfield Athletic Club, go to the RSA, over a beverage, boom, done out. I need to come and learn how to run a meeting properly. Honestly, that was an amazing speech, Miss Michelle. Okay. Right, Vanessa, as many know her as Mrs. DJ, is one of the rare people whose energy lifts everyone around her. Her passion for supporting kids and our wider community is inspiring, and her willingness to step in whenever she's needed is nothing short of incredible. Nessa, you will do absolutely anything for her 2 beautiful children, Pippa and Sean. Wherever they go, she is right there, supporting them 100%. That support has looked like running playgroups, sitting in umpire exams so she could better understand netball for Pippa, learning emergency procedures for Norsewood Civil Defence, and even mastering the art of backing a trailer to get hay into sheds, because honestly, no one can back a trailer like you. Time and time again, when someone needs help, Nessa is there, often with her 2 kids in tow. To Sean and Miss Pip, how lucky you both are to have your mum as your role model. Sean, I know she can be a little embarrassing. I know you're eye rolling right now. On the many sidelines that she's dragged you to. But the kids she was supporting, it never felt embarrassing. Because if someone didn't have a supporter, your mum made sure they did. Sean, she even downloaded an app on your phone so you could help with timekeeping at athletics when no one else would step up. And because your mum gives so much, you both now do the same. Pippa, there weren't many kids competing at major events like Colgate Games and then turning around to put on a volunteer t-shirt like you did. I wonder where you get that from. And Sean, when we heard the news that you got your licence, I'll never forget the look on Nessa's face during that phone call. Pure happiness, bursting with pride. So to Sean, Pippa, and you can tell Dad Kerry at home, thank you for lending us your mum and partner, willing or not, especially during firewood season. We know there have been many times the kids were reluctant to be dragged to a sporting event. Sean, I know. But just now, know this. Your mum cheers the loudest for you both. Ness, we appreciate everything you have done and continue to do. Your heart, your commitment, and your unwavering support of others make a real difference in this community. You deserve this award so very much. And I also want to acknowledge Vanessa's mum. What a good role model you must have been to bring up this wonderful lady that has been a part of our lives. We thank you for bringing her here and letting us show us what it means to be a real good person. You've done an amazing job. And to Sean and Pip, can you come forward? Because I wrote this for you guys. As much as you know I could write a novel for Nessa, I made a little something of all the things and all the things she's been involved with that may have taken up your guys' time, but we appreciate you lending her to us. They're not open until Christmas. Thank you, council members, and to everyone here for supporting us today and allowing this to happen for Vanessa. I really appreciate it.
Thank you both. I'll just invite Vanessa to, if you wouldn't mind taking a seat there, just so we can capture this. But thank you, Vanessa.
I know how the button system works because I've been here for civil defence meetings, so I'm au fait with this one. So, yes, a little surprise. So I do apologise for my son wearing his gumboots. He wears his gumboots everywhere, and when I said to Kelly, is this an event that he can wear his gumboot to? Just wear what he likes. So I'm sorry if we've lowered the dress tone for Tararua District Council. To everybody that's here, thank you very much. When I first came to Dennyville, the best way to meet people was to get involved. And part of my first one was the Badminton Club, who I still have friends with and contact with. But then it just came naturally, and as Kelly said, I probably got it all from my mum and my dad. And they have an array of volunteer awards that they've won over the years as well, and I got dragged along to things too. But I wouldn't have done it if I didn't want to. As long as the housework was done first, then Kerry wasn't so bad with letting me go to these things, or sometimes you just had to have a little white lie and sort of just say, I wasn't here, nobody's seen me today, although you may have heard me, I wasn't actually here. So on behalf of all the groups that I've been a part of, and the friends and family here today, thank you very much.
Lovely, thank you. Congratulations again, Vanessa. Now what I'd like to do is adjourn the meeting so we can have a short morning tea to celebrate Vanessa together. So I now adjourn the meeting. Welcome back, team, and thank you all for taking part in that very special moment for an important member of our community. We will carry on with our order of business. Item 11.3 on page 49, and I'd like to hand to the Chief Executive.
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. I'll just speak to this. Peter is working back at the office and is online. He's the author of the report. I'll very quickly, by way of background, particularly for new elected members, the Local Government Act has a part dedicated to accountability requirements for what are known as council-controlled organisations, essentially companies, organisations owned by a council. The Act also allows for a territorial authority owner to exempt a CCO from certain aspects of those accountability requirements, and that is generally, the reason for that is generally because the costs of compliance exceed the benefits. The MWLAS is one example of that. The MWLAS, that's the Manawatu Wanganui Local Shared Services Company, between the, it's a voluntary CCO, voluntary council organisation. I think every council, territorial authority and regional council is a member with the exception of Palmerston North, and does a number of activities, archives, debt collection, so on and so forth, and the board is primarily composed of the chief executives of each of the councils. So this is so the general approach, as I'm informed, that since the MWLAS was created, it has utilised the exemption ability under the Act in order to keep costs down, essentially, being that the scope of activity is still relatively small. I'll come back to that in a moment, and it's governed by the CEOs to ensure that it's delivering value. So that's the pro forma paper, and the recommendation from officers is that we once again exempt for a 3-year period from that requirement. All shareholding councils in that will do the same, and as I say, that keeps costs down. They run a low overhead model, as the paper says. This exemption will apply for the 3 years going forward, the triennium. In that period, though, I do observe it's not in the paper, the local government is about to go through some pretty profound reorganisation. The MWLS may well be caught up in that. There is a case to say that maybe it is a vehicle that could be used for further and better things. If the government's reforms go through, which is frankly likely, the new creation known as the Combined Territories Board, which I'll talk about later, which essentially replaces regional councillors, which His Worship would be a member, there may well be a case to relook at how the MWAS operates, what its scope of activities, and indeed how it's governed going forward. But just for the purposes of now, the recommendation is the exemption be made, and then we deal with the future evolution in due course.
Thanks very much for that summary, and I entirely agree with your comments. Are there any questions on the paper? Councillor Amboy.
Thanks, Ms. Scott. I've got 2 questions here. Just the first one. I did a little bit of research prior to, when reading this document. But are the other council parties still satisfied with this agreement?
In principle, through your worship, in principle, yes, though it is fair to say that the chief executives, including myself as with my interim role, have been examining whether there is ability and opportunity to utilise the LAS to do more. I've been in and around this particular LAS for a number of years. I do think the level of ambition hasn't been as high as it could have been. And so yes, there is a view on it, but I think that's a shared view that it could increase. It does things like, the biggie probably is it does group insurance for councils. And there's big money in that if you do that collectively. Yeah.
And just a second question, you briefly said it there. Is there any possibilities to increase the scope of shared services than what the organisation does?
Through your worship, there is immense scope, in my personal view, to increase the possibility of shared services, and we should accordingly be ambitious with a view to ratepayer value.
Thank you very much for your insightful questions, Councillor Amboy, and equally insightful answers, Malcolm. Are there any comments? I'll make a comment at the end. Councillor Petty-Webber.
Thank you, Your Worship. I just thought it would be quite good to have them come over at some stage and go through what they do with new councillors. I don't know, just throwing it out there. Thanks.
Thanks very much for that. Noted, Councillor Petty-Webber. Councillor Wallace.
Across the 67 or so councils and so forth, is there many of these or any of these doing this shared services in the background now and are very successful?
Through your worship. Yes, there are other ones, notable ones, for example, are known as Botplas. I think it still exists. That's the Bay of Plenty one. I think that's more extensive. There are others around the traps. There's always, I suppose my observation, Councillor, is the incentives around doing this are always a little bit perverse, because by definition, a combined approach to a shared services can at times be interpreted fairly or unfairly as a diminution of ostensible responsibility for officers within a particular council by definition. So probably the driver for it hasn't been as strong as it could have been over the years, but they are around the place, and where they exist, that they do provide value. I think the question that I would, the advice I would pose to give to elected members is the opportunity to do far more and deliver greater value is on the table, particularly now.
Thanks very much, Malcolm. Any other questions? I'll just make a general comment because we've been talking generally about the LAS and about shared services. It will come as no surprise to anyone here that I am quite passionate about the idea of shared services. It's something that over the last few months in particular, but even previously, I've talked about. And there has been some limitations to what MWLAS has achieved. That will be changing whether we like it or not through the simplification of local government. There is a very, very clear direction and incentive, as the Chief Executive rightly said, to move towards that or other things. That, for me, would be my preference rather than other things. Are there any further comments that people would like to make? No. We have two recommendations on page 49. Could I have someone move those recommendations? Councillor Johns, seconded by Councillor Amboy. Is there any further discussion? All those in favour, please say aye. Against? Motion is carried. Thank you very much for that, Malcolm. We now move to page 53, item 11.4, which is the adoption of committee terms of reference 2025 to 2028. So I'd like to hand over to Ali, the Manager of Democracy Services.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think the paper is pretty self-explanatory. The council has set up its new committees and His Worship has worked with the committee chairs to develop the terms of reference, and these are in front of council for adoption.
Thank you very much for that, Ali, and thank you for your support in getting those formatted. Appreciate that and the advice from the Chief Executive. Are there any questions on these terms of reference? Deputy Mayor Wards.
Just one question related to the executive support for the Community Connections Committee. It indicates that that's to be announced. When will that announcement take place?
Through your worship, when I turn my mind to it, Deputy Mayor, sorry.
It's a very
fair
good
call.
answer. A fair question and an equally fair answer. Thank you. Any further questions? Okay. Could I please have a councillor move both recommendations? Councillor Corlett, seconded by Councillor Wallace. Is there any further discussion or comments? Appears to be none. All those in favour, please say aye. Against? Motion is carried. Thank you very much, councillors. We now move to page 63, item 11.5, the adoption of the meeting schedule for 2026. In a moment, I'll hand over back to Ali, the Manager of Democracy Services, but I do note that these proposed dates were emailed out to all councillors and I didn't receive any concerns with the calendar, but I'll hand over to Ali.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Having adopted the terms of reference for the committees, the meeting schedule has been set out to have the meetings happen quarterly for all of the committees except for the Infrastructure and Projects Committee, which will be held bi-monthly. We've tried to arrange it so you wouldn't have a member being on like a couple of meetings for the 1 week where we could help it. Occasionally with Risk and Assurance Committee meetings being held, there will be a couple of times where a member's got 2 committee meetings to prepare for in a week, but we've tried to minimise that as much as we could.
Thanks very much, Ali. Any questions on this paper? Oh, sorry, Councillor Naylor.
I just noticed on the schedule the workshops weren't put into the calendar. Is that normal?
They'll be added as they are scheduled. So once we have dates nailed down for our long-term plan and annual plan workshops, we'll be putting those in.
It is a good question, Councillor Naylor, and I certainly have a desire to make sure that elected members have as much advance notice as possible for planning, so thank you for raising that. Just a very quick comment from me. Ali has worked incredibly hard on creating the schedule. It doesn't just happen automatically, it does take a significant amount of planning, so thank you, Ali and team, for your work on that. We have agreed the committee structure in our previous meetings. That is not to say, and this is a reminder, that elected members cannot attend meetings that they are not a member of. They absolutely can. Every councillor is entitled, and I expect would have speaking rights at any committee meeting of council. So I just want to give that as a reminder. We have 2 recommendations on page 63. Could I have someone move those recommendations? Councillor Naylor, seconded by Councillor Corlett. Is there any final discussion? Appears to be none. I'll take the vote. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Against? Motion is carried. We move to page 69, which is item 11.6, delegations to community boards. And I'd like to pass over back to Ali Dunn.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Post-election, we always have to go through the roll for council to decide what additional delegations and functions it wishes to pass to its community boards. So we've pretty much carried over what was delegated to the community boards last time around, but there'll be a bit more thought go into it, and there could be future changes to delegate more functions to the boards, which will be subject of a report from council.
Thanks very much, Ali. I just want to make a quick comment from my perspective on this and to endorse Ali's comments there. I view this as a start, and I view this as an opportunity for more functions to be delegated to community boards. This needs to happen, though, in consultation with our community boards and our community committees to make sure that we can effectively deliver things that our community boards want to deliver and feel that need to be delivered in our towns. In saying that, we also have to be mindful of some of the impending legislation that we have that may dictate some of the scope of what we do as a council and then by extension what community boards do. But there is still more work and more planning to go in this space. Are there any questions from councillors? Appears to be none. The recommendations, there are many on page 70 and 71, which have been very helpfully moved by Councillor Wallace without me having to read them all. So thank you, Councillor Wallace. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Corlett, is there any final discussion? All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Against? Motion is carried. Thank you, councillors. Now move to page 79, item 11.7. This is requests for information under the Local Government Official Information and Meetings Act 1987, and I hand back to the Manager of Democracy Services.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We're hoping to have got through answers to all of the requests for information so that I'll be able to report to you that we've got no open request pending response. But then on the day I was going to publish the agenda, another response came through. And so we had one open, as noted in your report, and then since then we've had another request come through. So there's a couple of requests for information that are outstanding, but they're not due for response until January, because it's not likely we'll be able to get responses to them before the end of this calendar year.
Thanks very much, Ali. Deputy Mayor Wards.
Thank you, Your Worship. Thanks, Ali, and it relates to, my question relates to the comment you've made in 4.12 and then in 4.14 about the new multiple requester and how much time that has been taken to date. Given they now know they're going to be charged, do you foresee a change in that trend, or do you think it will have an impact on their behaviour?
That's a difficult one to answer, yeah.
Chief Executive.
If we issue an invoice, I expect it to be paid, and people should expect that I expect it to be paid. Yeah, hopefully that creates the right incentives. Yeah.
Councillor Naylor.
So if we've issued an invoice and it hasn't been paid, are we allowed to then not respond to another request?
Well, I'd have to double check the act, but my expectation is no. You people have a right. Is that your? Yeah. Okay.
We have not at this stage issued an invoice. Before issuing any invoice, we would always advise the requester that an estimate of time to provide this information to you is X dollars. Our current rate is $100 an hour. The first hour is provided for free. They're always given the opportunity to refine their request, like maybe narrow it down for the last couple of financial years rather than the last 10 financial years, that sort of thing, so that we can get the information for them within the hour that's allowed. But we would never invoice somebody without them agreeing first that they are happy to cover those charges. But then once an invoice is sent out, the normal processes apply. If someone doesn't pay it, then the debt collectors will probably be having a little job to do.
So I distinguish, to be really clear, Councillor, two things. First of all, there's the right of an individual under the statute to get access to official information, and that is so. The ability to charge relates to recouping the costs, and then only when the situation warrants it, because ultimately this is a cost borne by ratepayers. So there's that issue there. So people can and go through the process that Ali has outlined. If an invoice is issued, I will expect it to be paid, and if it's not paid, then the usual processes will follow around debt. Now, hopefully it doesn't come to that, because the point of the exercise is to get the person to focus on what it is they really want, narrow the scope of the thing. So it's an incentives thing again. But if they go down that way and test me, then debt collection will follow. Yeah, we want them to actually utilise the Act in the way that is intended to, for a proper, not to be incurring unnecessary expenses that essentially get hit at the end of the day in the ratepayer pocket.
Are there any further questions? Am I able to have someone move the recommendation? Deputy Mayor Wards. seconded by Councillor Naylor. Are there any general comments that anyone would like to make? I would just like to make one and to thank the team for the significant work that goes in to answering Lagoima requests. They are a very important civic function that citizens should have, or ratepayers should have the right, it's not just ratepayers actually, anyone should have the right to access public information. It is important though that there is a balance with that, being open to providing that information, but knowing that there is an impact on cost on providing it to all other ratepayers, and that's something that we have to be balanced and fair about. And I feel like we do have quite a lenient balance with how we operate now, that errs on the side of giving more and not charging. So I think that is great. I'll put the vote. All those in favour, please say aye. Against? Motion is carried. Thank you, councillors. We are now going to move to our portfolio report. So I'm just going to slightly change the order and have the Deputy Mayor, who has provided a report on page 89, to speak to that report should she wish, and then we'll go into any other general non-written reports.
Thank you, Your Worship. Happy to take it as read. It was a bit of a combined effort. My impression from what the Mayor Scott has requested when it comes to these portfolio reports is that if there is something to reflect the intent of the activity within that report, that portfolio, then it was timely to do so. And as I've noted there, that was quite a significant event at Ekatahuna, which Councillor Chris, Mayor Scott and I attended, and it's a really good reflection of how a community in a rural setting and all the agencies around them can band together and take some time out. So happy to answer any questions if there is from that report. Otherwise, I have a verbal one on another matter later on, Your Worship.
Thank you very much for that, Deputy Mayor Wards. Are there any questions on her report? Any comments? Councillor Naylor.
I'd just like to say that I think that's an excellent report and has given us a standard for us, the rest of us portfolio owners, to aspire to. So.
Well said, Councillor Naylor. Thank you. Councillor Wallace.
Actually, mine was similar because the burgers must have been good. 200. No, but yeah, well done. So the whole team there. So yeah, this is great. This is what this is going to take them on a new dimension. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Wallace. I will admit that I did have a burger and they were delicious, so thank you. Councillor Corlett.
Yeah, just a quick comment. Thank you to Malcolm and the team for getting across the consents and just making things work, with the lawns and everything. So Hamish, and thank you for getting that done. And, it really was appreciated because it looked really quite good. So it was very good there.
Thanks very much, Councillor Corlett. And I'll just add a couple of comments, not too many, because it's also included in a report slightly later. It was a very important day for the community. And I just want to echo my thanks to the team for making sure that the grounds were in good condition for the day. I know, talking about consents, that our infrastructure manager received a very last minute call for me to make sure that we could get approval for something, and he made that happen so we could proceed with something, which I'm very, very grateful for. So thank you, Hamish. There is a recommendation on page 89, which I'm sure the Deputy Mayor would like to move, considering it's her report. Do I have a seconder for that report, please? Councillor Corlett. Is there any further discussion? Appears to be none. All those in favour, please say aye. Against, motion is carried. Thank you very much for that, Deputy Mayor Wards. This was a very good example and a template for what I hope that we see coming out of other portfolio reports, and sometimes it's good to see in practice how that might look to help us as we move into this slightly different way of doing things. So I appreciate you taking the lead on that. Thank you. Are there any other verbal portfolio reports? Councillor Naylor.
Yes, so on the portfolio for communication and consultation, Alison and I have received a report from Cartier showing the results from the communications survey last year, which has given us some insights. I was at an event on Sunday evening and had a ratepayer busy telling me how terrible it was, the election, because he had no information about it, but then he didn't have a mailbox and hadn't been receiving the Bush Telegraph, and he didn't have any other means of communication. So, yeah, we need to be thinking, and interestingly, another couple of conversations where if we want to communicate with the rural community, we're going to have to figure out how to use Snapchat, because that's the main way that the farmers talk to each other nowadays. So, yeah, Alison and I are going to work together on what the communications and strategy consultation process will look like with the communications team.
Thank you very much. Yeah, sometimes it can be challenging to find solutions in particular circumstances. Are there any other portfolio reports? Councillor Tawaka.
So a few weeks ago now, both Eden and I attended Te Maruata, which is a committee from LGNZ with all the Māori elected members, and we went to Wellington and it was incredible. Got to meet with just heaps of like-minded people like me, people who are new to local government, as well as some young Māori people in local government as well. So it was very inspiring, and yeah, it just feels nice to have that support as well out there. So just for the rangatahi portfolio, Tararua Community Services organised the rangatahi hui. So they brought together, well, there was about 15 of us in the room, and numerous community groups and organisations, including Te Manawa Te Tangata, Sports Manawatu and Dadivik YMCA. It was called by Kelly Wiley and Tararua Community Services just because there's just so much going, like all these little rangatahi groups all focusing to help the youth, but we hadn't really had a networking group where we could all come together. So what I think the hui really highlighted was the need for services and the community to meet regularly for rangatahi, so we're not all in our little bubbles and we come together and actually, make some really cool changes in that area. So that was really cool. Just the other week, I was invited to speak at the Pahiatua School Leavers Dinner. They have a huge Year 8 group, so there's about 60 of them leaving, and pretty much all of them are going to Tararua College. So it was cool to be able to go back there, and they wanted me to talk about high school. So that's what I did, and that was really cool to answer some of their questions. The Marae Kohanga Reo and Kura Kaupapa portfolio. So just yesterday, I got to go to a kaupapa at Kaitoki Marae in Dannevirke, one of the Ikarua Rāwhiti. So Ikarua Rāwhiti is includes this area, but it's the Māori seat electorate. So everyone on the Māori roll for the general election in this area is under Ikarua Rāwhiti. The current MP that represents us is Kushla for Labour. And yesterday I got to meet with Hayley Maxwell, who is going against both going for the seat. This is her one of her campaign kaupapa, so she's going through the entire area from Gisborne all the way to Wairarapa, meeting everyone and talking to everybody. So she's standing for Te Pāti Māori, and it was cool to be able to meet with her, see what her goals were, and I've also been fortunate enough to meet Kushla, so I think it's important for me to have very good relationships with both people running for the position, whoever gets on or not, but to help inform whānau in the community, especially those on the Māori roll when it comes to the big election next year. So I felt it was important that I attended, and she will be coming back every 2 months. So I am she asked that perhaps I organise a kaupapa for her to come where she can meet rangatahi. So that'll be great for both of my portfolios. At a marae maybe in the southern end. So she's back in February. So that's something that I'll be looking forward to help organise, and we'll be letting you guys know. You guys are all more than welcome. Don't need to be in the Māori role to come and meet her. So yeah, I guess those are the bigger things I've been working on. Kia ora.
Thanks very much for that, Councillor Tawaka. Any other portfolio reports? I will come to the Deputy Mayor in a second. I just want to check. Councillor Amboy.
I'll just add a comment on the youth portfolio. So I think it was last month now, I attended the Young Elected Members Hui in Wellington. Unfortunately, Kashan wasn't able to attend, but it was really insightful. Got to meet heaps of different new and experienced young elected councillors across the country, actually, and so it's quite good to be able to meet them and to see what we can do to collaborate in future. And just in terms of what Councillor Kashan and I are doing in that space of our youth portfolio, we will be working on some big things in the new year. So I can't really disclose much now, but a lot of conversations are happening. So really excited to be working on that space. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Amboy, and no one should be scared about things not being disclosed. I'm quite excited about the progress that they are making, and I think everyone else will be when that's revealed and worked through. So thank you for your work on that. Deputy Mayor Wards.
Thank you, Your Worship. It wasn't in my report, but because it only happened yesterday, but I was able to attend a working bee held by Pongaroa Way to Go on the 4 Mile Bush Reserve, which is a freedom camping spot, very popular one in the Tararua District. The reason I wanted to raise that is that previous council had a number of presentations from different communities around their concerns around maintenance of reserves. And this was a really good example of how a community have voluntarily taken it under their wing to maintain and upgrade with no funding from council to do so. It was a great working bee, and if you want to see the video, it's on the Pongaroa website already. There's been 5,000 views, but it was a really good example of how a community is prepared to step up and do this kind of stuff without our ratepayers having to foot the bill. So, nice day in the sunshine and bush.
Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor Wards. I am one of those 5,000 that watched the video, and it did look like a great day, and hats off to the Pongaroa community for all their work. They absolutely should be commended. Councillor Wallace.
Yeah, I'd just like to mention that I was proudly involved with our Christmas parade in Dannyville, and I really put out there for our Dannyville Lions Club, and it's a big thing that, and as you all probably know, but I was doing a bit of advertising for every float that went down the road, and it was great to see some young, innovative people building these floats. There's one family in town that amazing. But yeah, so that, and of course the Chamber of Commerce. So it's really good, I think, and all our towns in our district are very passionate. And so yeah, proud to be involved.
Thanks very much, Councillor Wallace, and I entirely agree. And your commentary was fantastic during the parade, so well done. And I was privileged to attend each of the Christmas parades in our towns, and highly encourage councillors to get along to the Christmas parades if you're able to. They are a great informal way of celebrating our community, but actually hearing how things are going on the ground when you're talking to people in a relaxed environment. So it was great to see so many councillors out and about at the different parades that we had. Very good. We have covered those verbal reports. So we'll now move on to item 14, page 91, which I had suggested that I would start providing written mayoral updates, so that is attached. I intend to continue doing that for each council meeting. I'm not going to go through the key points because everyone's had the opportunity to read them. All I want to add is, since that report, there has just been a couple of additions. There was the 60th anniversary of the Norsewood Pioneer Museum, which I was very, very privileged to be invited to and to speak at. It was a fantastic day, and all credit to the committee of the Pioneer Museum for all of the work that they do. And also the Woodville School Prize Giving I attended, which was personally quite a special moment for me to be able to go along. I've been the last 3 years as a councillor, and to be able to attend as mayor was quite a special moment, so I wanted to include that in my report. Are there any questions on my report, Deputy Mayor Wards? Are there any questions? Deputy Mayor Wards for a comment.
I just want to reflect, I mean, you've been very humble in this report, Your Worship. I'd like to just comment on the citizenship ceremonies. Fantastic celebration of so many citizens, or now citizens of our country, that I thought were already citizens of the country. So there seems to be no short or long time frame when people make these decisions, but I'd certainly like to commend you, Mayor Scott, on your delivery of the formalities of it, and it was great to have support from the councillors that were able to get there, and a big thank you to the team in behind that organised it. We could do this every week. It was fantastic. It really was, and there were some very happy people there that felt quite special, so a huge commendation to you, Your Worship.
Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor Wards, although I will say full credit to the team that organised it. It can be a bit of an adjustment of where we can be quite used to being the doers and doing all of the organising, and sometimes in the busyness of our roles we're not able to do that, so those events would not be able to happen without the support of staff who made sure that it was a special occasion. I'd also like to thank you, Deputy Mayor Wards, for your support during that citizenship ceremony, and also a thank you to Councillor Petty Webber in the Danny Vick ceremony, who knows very well how these work and was able to make sure that I was ship-shape for the ceremony. So thank you, Councillor Petty Webber. Is there any other comments or questions on this report? No? Then I would like to move my mayoral update. Could I have a seconder, please? Councillor Wallace. All those in favour, please say aye. Against, motion is carried. Thank you very much, councillors. We now move on to item 15, which is items not on the agenda. I'm actually going to move that into 16 because it was moved as a publicly excluded item. Therefore, I am going to have to slightly amend the recommendations as written on your papers. So at item 16 in the excluded items of business, I would like to insert into the recommendation a late item of business, the recruitment of the Chief Executive. And then I would also like to have inserted into there the reason that will be publicly excluded is to protect the privacy of natural persons. And then popping down to the resolution at the end, it's putting in section 7.2a. The withholding of the information is necessary to protect the privacy of natural persons including that of a deceased natural person. That is just a direct writing out of the Act. Don't infer anything from that. Could I please have someone move us into public excluded? Councillor Corlett, seconded by Councillor Petty-Webber. All those in favour, please say aye. Against, motion is carried. Thank you, councillors. Thank you very much, councillors, and thank you for your attendance and participation at our final council meeting of the year. Merry Christmas to everyone, and thank you all for your work. We do have another meeting that we will be jumping into, which will also be public and live streamed, so you'll see us again soon. But that is the close of our council meeting. Thank you all very much.